Good morning, tribe. I'm just coming in to show you how easy this bone broth is to make. This is a bone broth that we talk about so much in our classes when you're worrying about gut health, anything like that. This bone broth is just a miracle in a jar. So it's one of those things, we make this, I only make it every month or two. I usually make 40 quarts at a time. So there are two 20-quart canners is what I use to cook it in. It ends up with enough in the freezer that I have for our family, plus I share with all my locals. I put these bones in here, let them cook down a little bit this morning, just so I'd have more room to put some more in. This isn't a bunch of fancy stuff. This is the bones left over from what we eat all month long. We are blessed enough to live in a farm community where we can get access to all these pork bones and things that nobody wants to do anything with to cook. So everybody has them left over in their freezer. So we take all donations for beef bones and pork bones that we can get in our little community. And all we do is it's just putting them down in. Now this one is a little bit warm because I turned it on a low simmer this morning with the chicken feet and the bones and the oxtail, neck bones, all the stuff that nobody wants to cook. I save those in my freezer. So I'm just now putting them in. This is going to be day one of simmering, and I'll show you a little bit every day or two. I let it simmer for days on my stove. I'm home all day, so I'm able to just leave it on the stove, turn it on nice and low, and let this simmer until I can literally break these bones apart with my fingers. It's not rocket science. There is not a recipe. It is every bone you have access to goes in this pan. Now I always do make sure I have chicken feet in here. As Dr. Boz says, the chicken feet are the magic to the recipe. So I always get my chicken feet. You can order them at the grocery store. You can go to your butcher and ask for them. The grocery store sometimes call them chicken paws instead of chicken feet. So have them look it up on their list. They can order them for you. Asian markets will have them. We have different options for it, but get them. It's worth it. They look creepy. We look like witch's brew. My kids freak out too, but it's okay. We cook it down, we strain all that. So they're not going to see anything, and it all disintegrates over the days. You can't even tell what anything is. So it's such a win, and this is such a good thing to have on your, just in your toolbox for your health. If anybody gets sick, if you're fasting and you're going to break and you can't make it through, a little bit of bone broth sometimes will push you through. It's not perfect, but it does keep you going and keeps you building your health. If you're dealing with gut health, if you're talking acid reflux, any of those kind of things that we're working on the permeability of the gut, or you're working on that mucosal layer from entrance to exit, bone broth is going to help you the whole way. So make sure you get your bones, save them in the freezer till you're ready to make some bone broth. This is day one. I'll keep showing you. Okay guys, we're on day two of the bone broth. Let me turn this around and show you where we're at. Okay, you can see all the bones are just cooking away. The meat's starting to fall off the bones, but you still see a lot of things intact. I mean, you can still see the chicken feet in there. You can still identify pieces, parts. So it's okay. We're just gonna let it keep simmering. Let all that goodness get in there. Now this one we do seem to have a lot of pork bones and stuff in it. Just I had made soup beans and stuff for my parents, so we had the ham hock in there. We had some different pieces of ham left in there, so there's some ham bones in this one along with the chicken feet, some ribeye bones, things like that. So we add them all, so they're all in here just brewing away. This isn't hard. Still just water over the bones, splash a little bit of vinegar in there, and we let it simmer. So I'll check back. I will show you again in a day or two. Talk to you later. Bye. Okay, we're on day three. You start to see the difference of everything starting to fall apart. Can't quite tell what everything is quite as easy as we could before. Look at that. It's like a vertebrae. That's a neck bone. Tailbone, something. Look at that. See, we're waiting for all of that bone marrow to cook out of those thick, wide bones. All the cartilage is coming off, so all that good collagen is going to be in the broth. So it's getting there. It's just waiting it out, letting it. Now this one I can even smell the difference. This one seems to have a little bit more ham bones, ham hocks, and pork bones in it. It still has the chicken feet and everything in there, but I can smell the difference. You can see the darker color in this batch. No two batches are ever the same, so it's one of those, we just work with what we got. I don't overthink it. It's just all the bones that we have access to go in this batch.
Okay, as you can see, these pieces are all starting to become unidentifiable. So the pieces are starting to fall apart. All the cartilage and everything is coming off all the bones. The bones are getting pretty bare. So, you know, they're getting there. Again, this is just, oh, now look at those. Today, I will probably go through and see that with the bone marrow still in that. I will go through and pull those bones out, scrape that bone marrow into the broth. Just the ones I can get a hold of, no big deal. But you can see how everything is just cooking down. You know, the crazy chicken feet that freak everybody out. You can't even identify them anymore. So that tells me all that good nutrition is in my broth. So we'll just... I work late tonight, so I'm probably going to let this simmer until tomorrow, and then have Lance help me pour it off and strain it, and we will get this put up and put in containers and froze and put in the freezer, and it will keep just fine until we're ready to use it. We pull it out 1 quart at a time and use it, but I'll show you that process as we go.
Okay, by this stage here, I want to be able to see the bones that you pull up in that bone broth. They should be crumbling in your fingers. You should be able to scrape out that bone marrow nice and easy. The bones are brittle. All that nutrition, all that stuff is in that bone broth. That's what's making this liquid gold. Now, when you see the bigger bones where it's the bone marrow and stuff like that in the middle, I literally take that, scrape it out, dump it into that bone broth, stir it up so we know that nutrition is inside there. It's liquid gold at this point. Get your containers all ready. Get everything all set up and prepped. We have some plastic containers. We have some jars. I want you to make sure you leave headspace on those jars so you don't freeze them and break them. But Lance is going to pour this through this colander, and that gets the big bones and stuff out. Now save all those bones. We're going to use those for our dog later on, so don't pitch all that stuff. There's liquid gold in there for them too. Stir that around, and now the next pour, when he pours that off of there, he's going to pour it through a fine sieve for me. These are going into the jars that we're actually going to drink it through. So now this is getting all that fine stuff out, and you're going to see again, don't throw all that away because we're going to use that for the dog. But look at that liquid gold. We're going to put that in the freezer. That's your health in a jar right there.